for joining in for another session. So as I said, I've been using ChatGPT on and off since it came out, especially since I'm a techie. Whether I like it or not, clients will ask for it, friends will ask for it. Have you used it? What's your opinion? And so on and so forth. So I started using. Initially, I used it. The information, the details were not so useful to me, I would say. But I kept on using, kept on refining, kept on learning about how to use it and so on and so forth. For me, having seen through multiple cycles of technology, I felt something like what we had when Google came in. When I say Google, not really Yahoo's and other search engines, but Google, there has to be a certain way you will have to search, and then you will get very relevant information. One time, there was when the iPhone came in, Mark Anderson asked Steve Jobs that people are used to using a physical keyboard. There is no physical keyboard here. Will iPhone take off? So apparently Steve Jobs said, people will learn. And what Mark Anderson says in that book is that people learn and they forget they learned. So the point is, every time there's a newer technology that comes in and you can observe, we actually adapt ourselves to the technology. Instead of trying to adapt the technology to us, we most often adapt ourselves to technology. Now, if you know how to search on Google, and there are courses, there are marketers whose that's their regular job as well, how to write for Google and so on and so forth. So the point is, even on ChatGPT, that is very true. ChatGPT is, as much as it is learning from you, it is much more that you have to learn to use ChatGPT. That's what I have understood. There are ways you have to use ChatGPT, the ways that you can get the best out of ChatGPT, and so on and so forth. So you will have to learn. And today I'm going to show how I'm using as CTO. So three kinds of things: CTO, as a podcast host, and as an investor as well. All of you are from tech background or working in tech. So most probably I will spend more time on as a CTO, and then I will touch upon the other ones, and I will see whether anybody else is joining, whether they will be interested in a different thing. But before going on, anyone want to share, Pradeep, Joyce, anyone want to share how you have been using ChatGPT? What's your opinion? How you have been using it? Yeah, Joyce?
Yeah, so I have been using ChatGPT more from blogs, books, and articles. Specifically, I'm into research, right? So what happens is we have a lot of existing research that has been done, and which is basically a 14-page document or a 15-page document where you don't understand most part of it. So the best is you give that reference to, it's basically references for our research. So based on that, our research will identify a research gap, and then we will do a research. That's how the research world works. So I need to go, I cannot sit and read that 15 pages, because it's not just one document that I'm talking about. It's like 50 documents that I'm talking about. So what I do is I go and give that to ChatGPT, saying that, okay, what is this particular research is all about? So it will give me a snapshot of what it is it concentrating on, what is it is proposing, what are the results that it has. All those things are given. Once I read this, then going through the actual 15-page document, I don't really spend 4 or 15 pages, because I know the overview of it. So it becomes easy. So that's my main usage. The other usage is of course blogs. I have not generally used it for coding. I know a lot of people use it. I have not used it for coding.
Okay, thanks, Joyce. So yeah, people have used it for summarization, which there are a few things which ChatGPT excels. There are a lot of other things that it doesn't. Anyway, so the first thing, and I'm going to share my screen. I hope all of you can see my screen. So some of the things that I can see is, as you can see probably on the left side window, left side of the window, I've been using this for a lot of things. But I'll show you a couple of things. So as I said, I started using it for very different things. Initially, it didn't give me what I thought would I need. So I kind of left it. I was very cynical and critical. But then one time I had to create a document, and then people who are working with me like Amit and Rajnish, they would know. So I had to create a business continuity program for a particular project, a particular client. So I said, let me give it a shot. So I went and typed first, how do I create a BCP document? That's all very simple one, because I'm coming from, the same Google, that mindset, and I typed it, and I didn't really, this is what it came in, something similar it came in. And then the thing is also, not every time it's the same output you will get. It's a different output every time you generate. I wasn't very satisfied with this. I thought this is very generic. It doesn't, I don't need it, and all of those kinds of stuff. So I went again, read about it, how to use it, read some documents and everything. Then I saw somebody saying it has to be a conversation, which means you need to give context. So I went and I typed everything. I said, you are an IT engineer providing cloud management services to an e-commerce client, hosting on AWS. Now your client wants business continuity program. How do you prepare such a document? What should be the table of contents? So you can see that there's a lot. It is like I'm asking, hey, I'm calling up somebody. Let's say, for example, I'm calling up Amit, and I'm saying, hey, I want to pick up your brain. This is the problem I have. This is where the situation that I am in. I have to create this particular document. What should I do? And then he will go. So it is more like a conversational interface. So that's why it is called, chat GPTs or chat bots. And when I entered that, the information that came in was a lot more relevant than the previous one. So I'm saying it is relevant. It is not exactly what I was looking for. But so it was a lot more relevant to what I was looking for. And since I had already prepared this BCP for this particular customer and also for a few other customers, I was able to compare and see whether this is correct or not. And then, stunningly to speak, it was what I wanted and how I wanted, and so on and so forth. So this is the first step that I had, and I was very, very happy about this. I could get this, and I can move on from here. And then, see, the thing is, once you have this TOC, then you can go and fine tune this, or you can go and say, for example, now it says the risk, right? I mean, the second point is risk assessment. Identify the potential risks and everything. Now you can go and fine tune that. You can go and ask, what are the risks that you want to identify given this particular thing, and so on. So again, please understand, this has to be a conversational. It is not keyword based. So this is the major shift that I'm seeing. In Google, you will just go and say BCP document, BCP for e-commerce. It is keyword driven. Here it is conversation driven. So now that I have this, BCP for a particular thing and everything, what I said, I want, given this BCP program, now that I have this, I want to deep dive into the risks that it is talking about. So I said, okay, what are all the first section, risk assessment? What are all the typical risks for an e-commerce site hosted on AWS? What should be the risk mitigation techniques for each of these risks? Again, it was as close as it can get. Obviously, you need a little bit of practice and experience to validate what it is giving you, whether it is right or wrong. But it was as close as it can get. And then it was talking about, again, very, very relevant AWS service disruptions, whatever that AWS services that it had, very relevant, as if somebody knew about AWS, somebody knew about what I want, and it is more like a conversation, and you can keep on going like this, and as you can see, you can create a document with this, right? So this is one thing that I saw, and I went deeper into it as well. So I'll give you another thing. What I did was, okay, I have prepared this particular document. I have this BCP program. I have identified the risks. Now I want to do a mock drill of this particular BCP. So what should I do? What should be my checklist for that mock drill? So again, you can understand I'm going back to that keyword-based thing. What I was really looking for is what the team should do on a minute by minute or in a detailed manner. But because I put in a keyword-based conversation, it gave me a very generic one. So what I did, I went and corrected it. So I said, again, I went back to the same kind of stuff. I have developed the BCP plan. We are ready to execute. So again, you can understand. Somebody is on the other side of the call. I am saying, hey, Amit, I'm going to do this. I'm ready to execute the BCP plan this particular Saturday. What should be the minute by minute activity that I want to do it? And then it gave me a lot more relevant information that you can see. So you can see 000, activate the emergency response team, confirm the incident, yada, yada, yada. You can see that it is a lot more relevant and a lot more to the point of what I'm asking. Okay. So that's, and then it goes on really clear. Again, since I have executed this BCP plan a couple of times, I was able to validate, and I was able to say, okay, this is very relevant. So I'm going to stop the share now for a minute, and let's discuss. Do you have any comments on this? Anything at all? Any comments? Anything?
Yes, Joseph. So I think you are right. It is not keyword based. But means this chatbot, ChatGPT is right for the person. If you can write about your problem 2 to 3 lines, then it will give you the result very close. Right. If you comes from the Google's, what's the difference between Google and GPT? You are right. Google is keyword based, so you have to go through the documents and the various links on the page, and maybe you need to hit multiple times. But the ChatGPT is helping out there, that it is giving you the brief, whatever you write in 3-4 lines, your problem statement, and it will give you the brief. The other relevance or why I found it very important, sometimes you start talking or want to write about something, right? So let us suppose I have to start writing about cloud, right? So sometimes some titles doesn't come in my mind, or the topics, but topics I should cover it. So yes. I think when I start covering in 2-3 lines, then it will give me the briefs. But again, fine tuning is very important. Means whatever the ChatGPT is returning maybe or may not be true. So sometimes you need to read and deep dive into to fine tune it.
I'll come to that particular point, whether it is right or wrong. I'll come to that point, but I want to address the other 2 points that you mentioned, Rajneesh. One thing that I found is, if it is Google, you are reading multiple pages, and you have to kind of make all the work, do all the work. With ChatGPT, is one interface. You are always on that, and you are asking questions, getting feedback, fine tuning it, and so on and so forth. So it is happening in a single interface. There are pros and cons of it. I'll talk about what I think as cons of this. Amit also asked, would you allow your kids to use it? So I'll address all of those things as well. But what I found is it's a single interface where you can interact with this particular machine or whatever you call it as, and then you can do everything from the single interface. So that's what I find it to be very interesting. Any other comments before I move to the next one?
Yeah, it's similar to what we discussed and what I also mentioned. So I use ChatGPT as a quick start guide for me.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's basically how do I have an idea, or I have a idea of blogging or anything, right? Like, so how do I really start? Because the starting point is difficult for a few people. So that helps a lot. But yeah, there are, so if you really ask ChatGPT itself, what are the risks of using ChatGPT? It gives a lot of risks. So you should go and read that. So like Rajneesh said, there are a few problems which you did say that you will discuss about it. So I'll hold on there. But yeah, as I said, like I use it as a more like a startup guide.
Yeah, Joyce, for me, and I'm sure you also have the same problem. I have a starting trouble.
Yes.
I know, say for example, I had to write documents as a CTO. I write a lot of policy documents and so on and so forth. I will know these are some of the things that I need to do, but it'll be very difficult for me to start. But if I have something on the screen, then I can go and edit, and the iteration is much faster. Yeah. So this helps me to get started. Then I can go and edit, and then the final output is very different from where I started. But at least it helps me to start. So it forms as a launch pad. So in that, yes, I agree with you. Yeah, KK, please.
It is starting or something when it was not. After that, I think.
KK, I'm not.
Maybe last 4 months.
Okay, I'm not able to hear properly. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, KK.
Okay. So I used this when it was launched last year, like around November, December, from a marketing standpoint, because I come from marketing side. So from that standpoint, I think it saves a lot of things, is what I have been told, and from a content generation standpoint. But I just wanted to understand 2 things. One is a mechanical question, but just wanted to ask, like, are there any different sort of usage versions, right? Like the free version, trial version, or paid version, etc. That's the mechanical question. The second one is how ChatGPT is useful for something which needs some little bit original thinking, right? Like, for example, for my blog, for example, which is on business storytelling, I have tried reading. I mean, I have tried outsourcing this to some writers in the early days, and they have gone through, read the Google thing, and they came back, and those content I didn't find it valuable, because my readers would be ideally like managers and above, and it should be something more insightful for them to read. It cannot be like how you can read like 10 documents, bring something together, and make that abstract into one of your blogs. I was not buying into that argument. That is how traditionally the outsourced content services most of the time works, if they don't come from relevant experience. So how it is relevant in that context? So okay. Those are my questions.
Thanks, KK. I'll take both the questions. The first question, yes, there is a paid version and there's a free version. I am using free version. Most of the guys whom I have talked to, they're all using free versions. The ChatGPT, the interface that I'm using, I think it is 3. 4 is coming. 4 has already been launched, and again, like, I mean, the iterative cycle, the release cycle that they have is very, very fast. They are releasing things extremely fast, and so they are learning. And by the time we finish this, and probably next week, there's something, the newer version that is there. But there is a paid version as of now. What I understand is the paid version is always available. It has a lot more performance results and so on and so forth. What I am given to understand, again, I don't have a paid version, so I don't know. What I'm given to understand is there is not much of a output difference between the paid and the free version. It's just that the paid version is always available. It has no other limitation, like you cannot ask so many questions and so on and so forth. So that's what it is there. But I'm sure it's going to change as days goes by. On the second question, hopefully when I go to how I use it as a podcast host, probably that'll answer, and then I will take up that, and then I will move from there. Okay. So I'll go into the next thing again on as CTO. I went a little more than just the document. I wanted to see whether it can give me a few other details. So what I did, so I'll share the screen. So one other thing is, when it's a different conversation, start a new chat. Do not continue in the same chat, which is what I did first. And it didn't give me very relevant answers. It is also the difference between Google or the earlier forms of conversational bots is this ChatGPT can understand context, which means if you are continuing the questions, say for example, you ask the first question as I showed, it is all about BCP. It can memorize, it can remember the context in which you ask that particular question and what's the conversation that's going on, and then it can continue from there. So now I'm going to start a new conversation, and I'm saying I want an AWS diagram that has again, I'm going to a little more details here. You need to give some context. So you are saying EC2 hosting a PHP application connected with Aurora, MySQL. Again, please see this as a launchpad rather than I don't know anything, it will teach me. I don't think that's the case here. So I'm giving a lot more information, and I'm asking this. And it gives me in an ASCII form the diagram. But again, to a large extent, this was relevant. There are few issues also, but generally I found it to be very good. So in the previous one, I'll show you the previous answer that it gave, and that you can see the difference. That's why I'm saying every time you generate, probably it will give you a different information. So you can see that this is what it is, and some people like Amit and Joyce, Rajneesh might understand, Pradeep and all understand. Others, even if you don't understand, it's okay. Just understand that this is the output that it is giving. And you can see here, I have already asked earlier today. I was again, doing a mock of this. You can see here it is different. Even though I gave this exact same prompt, the output is different. And this particular one is it has one issue, unlike the one that it generated just now. It has one issue, but otherwise you can see that it is a different answer. So this is one thing that I've learned. Unlike, say for example, you are reading in Google, you are asking a question in Google, it'll lead you to a particular page, and that page is going to return you the same result all the time. But unlike Google, ChatGPT will give you different answers. So you can regenerate, you can ask again, and then so on and so forth. So this particular diagram is a lot more relevant. Now all that I had to do is pick it up, use a draw.io, and then put some AWS icons, and I'm good to go, right? One thing here, it says DB IP, but whereas in the previous one, it was a lot more. So you can see here, there is a security group. It's a private subnet, security group, whitelisting the IP address, because I'm saying I want this to be accessible only from a select address. So this particular diagram met that particular requirement, but whereas the one that I generated just now, it did not have that. So again, you can understand, you cannot just take the entire thing as absolutely valid. You need to apply your own mind. That's where the expertise needs. So I don't think, at least in this particular avatar, I don't think AI is a threat for the jobs, job market or jobs, because there's still a validity that needs to be done. But otherwise, you can use it as a launchpad, which means the productivity improves. Your productivity, your output, even the quality will improve because you are using it as a virtual assistant. The way I'm seeing this is, I'm seeing this as a virtual assistant. many of you might know, if I would have talked to you even for 1 hour, I would have told you about this, is that I always see the future of jobs as partnership of experts, which means I become a company. I'm an expert. I do whatever that I need to do. Earlier, if I were to do that, I will have to go and hire employees. But now it's the tools are the employees. Tools are the ones that I can hire to do a particular job. And ChatGPT becomes a virtual assistant where I can do a initial research and initial launch pad, so to speak. I can prepare. Then from there, I'll have to go customize and modify and so on and so forth. So that's what I have seen. And I'll give you one more thing. So what I did, so okay, now I have this particular diagram, and this is the diagram that I wanted. And I say, okay, how do I go and set it up? Give me detailed instruction on how do I configure this particular one. And again, it was very close. You can see here, again, people who are technical, they will understand. You can have the AMI for PHP, and it'll go in and say, okay, here it doesn't say which EC2 instance, but in the previous one, it even went in and said, this is the AMI that you need to select. Linux AMI configured for, okay, so it is here. The AMI for your PHP application, but here if you see, you can see here, it even talked about, so this is a lot more, so you can see here, Amazon Linux 2. So it went into that kind of a detail, and it was a lot more easier, lot more detailed in my opinion. As I said, one thing that I'm realizing is the first one is it is not keyword based, it is conversation. Two is every time you are conversing with it, it gives a different output. So sometimes it is extremely relevant. It is to the point of what you're asking. Sometimes it is not. So you may have to regenerate, you may have to re-ask that particular question again and again. But you can see this is a lot more relevant, to the point. And it is also giving you all the Apache config and so on and so forth. All of those kinds of are given. Now I can go and say, okay, instead of Apache, I want to use Nginx, and it'll change that particular thing and then give you. So all of those things, it was all very relevant. I'll give you one more thing that I did. Probably it is much more meta. So what I wanted to do is I want to generate an image. If you see the asset, the social media asset that I created, it had an image. I want to create that image. I want to find out whether ChatGPT can give me a prompt to generate that image. So I went and asked, so this particular thing, and it did give me a very relevant thing. So I said, I'm taking a session on using ChatGPT. I need a good image for the first slide. Planning to use Hugging Face, which is a stable diffusion image GPT, so to speak. And can you please help me with the different prompts that I can use to generate this image? And then it gave me different prompts. Then you can see here, right? I mean, it gives me different prompts. I used one of this particular prompt. I went into stable diffusion. You can see here, a person holding a tablet, blah, 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 all of that. I typed it in, entered generate image, and it gave me these images. It takes quite a bit of a time. The image GPT takes more time than the conversational chat GPT. It takes a longer time, but then it gave me this. So the point that I'm saying is it becomes a lot more meta. You use one GPT to get the prompts. You go to another GPT model, which is stable diffusion for AI, for image. And there you use it, get that information, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that I found it to be funny, so to speak. Okay. The other one is, as I said, the other one that I used again purely from a CTO model. I want to get frames from YouTube videos. So whatever videos that I'm sharing, I want to share it on LinkedIn. I want to grab the frame, the first frame, so that I can have the image, because LinkedIn always uses images, or rather the LinkedIn posts that are using images always get more visibility, more impressions. I want to get that. and you can do this for any videos. So I just put in as, again, like, I mean, something like Google, and it gives me a, print screen, blah, 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 all of those kinds of stuff. This is not how I wanted. This is not what I was expecting. I was thinking probably I can use it as a, from a programmatically or whatsoever. Again, it gives me a lot more thing, which is not what I was expecting. And I will also show you, as I'm repeatedly saying, different times it gives you different results. So if you see here somewhere, I think probably I removed it. Okay. Okay, I'll talk about the copyrights also. But when I go and say how to get frame from YouTube video using JavaScript, then it is a lot more relevant, and it goes and gives you, the API keys, blah, 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 all of that. But it gives you the video ID, and it explains also, what you need to do. And this is a lot more relevant. If you execute this particular JavaScript with a particular video ID, it will give you that thing. Obviously, it is using XSR. You can use Axios or anything else. All of that is different, but you can get this particular. This code will execute it, right? So again, you still need expertise to validate what ChatGPT is giving. That's the point that I want to emphasize. It is not like, oh, I can take the ChatGPT, I can just go and use it. It is not the particular case. Okay. So the other one that I also did, which did not give me any results at all, is that I want to design a landing page. I want to see again, I design a landing page. So I said, again, I gave a lot of context. You are a front-end designer, design a landing page that looks like this particular, I gave a sample, and then I said, use a plain HTML, use Tachyon CSS, design such a page. I use this particular output. It is nowhere close to what this particular web page is, if you can see. So this is this particular web page. I have saved and executed this particular code that it is giving, nowhere close to what the page looks like. So it is not like you can kind of use this, and you don't have to use designers or HTML front-end designers or whatsoever. It is nowhere close at all. But it does give you some sample, and you can use it as a launchpad, and then you can take it from there. Okay. So that's what I would say. So from a copyright, obviously all of the things exist, but here these images, or what I'm given to understand is, they're all copyright free. You can use however you want it. But of course, that is, so in an image, the copyright for the image is very different from the copyright for the text. Obviously, if you're going to use exactly how you are using that somebody else has put in, you need to credit, you need to give them references and so on and so forth. That's one. Two, do not share confidential information or any other, what you are not supposed to send, in the sense company secrets and so on and so forth, right? I wouldn't write here and say, I'm working for Dell, and which stock or when should I invest in Dell stock, given this kind of a result that I wouldn't do that. So do not share any of the confidential information, insider information with ChatGPT, because that's going to be stored, that is going to be used for its learning. So do not do that. But otherwise, I think whatever that is coming out, you should be able to use it. Again, the way that I have used is I use it as a launchpad, and then I'm able to go from there. Okay. I'm going to pause for a while. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Any questions? Hi, Picasso. Nice to see you. Hi, Satya.
Yeah, Joseph, you started talking about like, you need not to hire the expert, but the tools like ChatGPT 3 are the tool which from where we can get the expertise. And you're right. But are these the replacement for the expertise or the facilitator? Means, sometimes I'm not expert in a particular topic, but ChatGPT is helping me or facilitating me to validate the things sometimes, maybe. So this is something I have to highlight on this.
You can use it to learn, but I don't think it is anywhere close to validation, or at least in this current avatar, it is nowhere close to any of validation, or you can blindly believe in that. So I don't think it is anywhere close. As I said, Rajnish, you would understand this, right? The AWS diagram, it is a lot closer to the final one, the right one, but still it didn't. So I'll give you this particular funny story that I heard. I'm sure it is not true, but I heard 1 minute KK. So I heard this particular thing. So Einstein, after inventing all of these things, he has been called in all the universities to give talks. So he goes and gives, and the driver, he has heard this talk so many times. He says, you know what, I can give this talk anytime. And Einstein says, not a problem. If you think you can give, go ahead and give it. So the next one, he drives. Einstein drives. The driver's sitting at the back. And the driver goes and gives that particular talk. And one professor gets up and says, he asked for a particular clarification. Professor, how would this be? And he says, this is so simple that my driver can answer it. And then he turns to the driver, which is Einstein, and says, okay, why don't you clarify it? So the point that I want to say is, this is what the current state of ChatGPT is. You really cannot, I mean, you can use it as a launch pad. I don't think you can depend on it completely. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Can this tool be used to score or scrap data, all of that? Like, for example, I say on LinkedIn, I need to find companies which are like 50 to 100, 200 employees, companies with head of something marketing and in from this country, all of that. Does it do that?
I don't think it can do it. We will try. Give me a prompt. Let's try it out here. Give me a prompt. Let's give it a shot and see where it goes. 1 minute, Satya. I'll come there. Give me a prompt. I am a.
I'm a marketing automation specialist. I want to build.
No, don't go fast. Automation specialist. Working for. Give me a company domain.
Okay. In retail.
In retail, commerce. Retail commerce. Okay, tell me.
I want to build a database of e-commerce players.
E-commerce players
in Australia.
In Australia.
With about 200 employees. Yeah. I need to give me a list of customer experience or customer success hits.
Customer success specialist of these companies.
Correct. Yeah.
Let's see. I think Satya also asked for this particular thing, right? So yeah, so it doesn't give you that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does tell you like, I mean, what you can do, but it doesn't give you that. Yeah, Satya. Thanks. That was a good.
Thanks. Thanks, Joseph. Just a quick question. We are a hyperlocal retail furniture company, and we were contemplating going for writing content through ChatGPT. So the moment I wrote, I wanted some 500-word articles on helping people find furniture magic. Right. So while doing that, I started building these articles because it was easy, it was fun. And finally, a few people warned me that don't use that content because Google might penalize you. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, see, one, obviously, like, I mean, all of these things are coming up in the sense that using ChatGPT to generate content. see the power of Google, or rather, people go to Google for believing that it'll give me relevant expertise content. That's why even before ChatGPTs and all came in, Google penalized content forms, because content forms were all very, very SEO generated only for just content. It is not expert content, just content. And Google penalized content forms. Similarly, they will penalize ChatGPT or GPT generated content. However, okay, having said that, like what Joyce or Rajneesh and I have been saying, use this as a launch pad. And then, okay, so let's Satya, give me, you are in hyper local, right?
Hyper local. I want basically people from Chennai to discover furniture and come land on our site. So that's the idea of the blog.
So the idea would be, like, I mean, again, like, I mean, I'm borrowing from this particular book, Fast, Viral, Cheap by Ashish Chopra.
Okay.
He talks about it is always about the problems that people are facing. So it is not, if you're a hotel in Goa, you don't have to talk about your features, the hotel in Goa, or about Goa, but it is always about people who are going to Goa, which means the problems that they are facing, the itinerary that they would be interested in, so on and so forth, right? It's always about people who are going to Goa. So similarly, in your particular case, it'll have to be about problems that your customers would be facing. So what you can do, you can ask for what are the problems that, I don't know whether Chennai will work, but what are the problems in this particular domain will work? Like, I mean, so say for example, I am a e-commerce store owner for high-end. I'm just making it up, okay?
Sure. Yeah, go on, please.
In a town. What are the problems or challenges faced by high net worth people in choosing furniture for their offices? I'm just making it up. So let's see what you can do is pick this up. Okay. So right, pick this up, budget constraint, like, I mean, design preferences. I think design is something, right? And availability,
right.
You know, so pick this up, and then you'll have to go deeper into
content. Okay. Okay.
You can, like, say for example, ergonomics. Now you can pick that ergonomics, and then say, okay, I mean, what are the types of challenges in ergonomics, right? Given these challenges,
go one level deeper with the information set.
Absolutely.
And okay.
What are the challenges of, I mean, again, you need to make it so, like, I mean, you can go deeper into it, and again, like, I mean, you can iterate over it, right?
Right. Got it.
And then take that up. So again, use this as a launch pad. Don't use this as is the point. Right. So say for example, health concerns.
Okay.
I mean, high net worth individuals. I mean, everybody has it, but high net worth individuals have money to solve that particular problem. So you can take that particular content. I mean, the health concerns of high net worth, or like, I mean, say for example, you can talk about CEOs. High net worth is CEO,
right.
Health furniture health concerns for CEOs, and then you can go and address that particular problem.
Got it.
That's how you will stand out. Again, it's all the work that you are doing, right? I mean, whether you are lazy or whether you are doing work, even in the keyword-driven content,
right?
There are people who are lazy, right? They will just stuff all the keywords, and I mean, Google does not reward them.
Yeah, correct.
So it's the same thing is applicable here as well.
Right. So one final lead-up question to that, Joseph, if I may. Sorry to eat up too much time. Are people moving away from reading content and moving to videos more than text?
That is
What
what
are your thoughts on that in your experience?
It is not so.
Okay.
There are different sets of people who are tuned to different form of content. So if you,
Okay.
even when as you know, I write blogs, I write, I have a podcast and so on and so forth. When I talk to different people, the segment is not the same. The people who are reading my blog, they don't listen to my podcast. The people who are listening to my podcast are not the ones who are coming into my videos. They're all different segments, so to speak. Unless otherwise there is
Got it.
very, very
Right.
true fans, so to speak. Those are the people who do all of that. Otherwise, they're all very, very different content. Okay. Joyce, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I have a few points to cover.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thanks.
Yeah, so one is from errors. The errors can be in such a way that I was trying to find, as I was mentioning, I was trying to find out a snapshot or an overview of some of my research articles, and the errors were in such a way that when the article was saying that there are 3 categories of whatever it is, ChatGPT was saying like there are 4 categories, right? So you cannot as is take it, and then you already said that you cannot as is use it. You need to apply some intelligence on top of the content. So that's the same reason why I also think that it is not going to replace the jobs, at least in the current version. And it's just a transformation stage is what I feel. And I also wanted to there is another perspective of like what you said, right? Like it gives different content at different times. The same question, but you might get different content, but still it doesn't pass the plagiarism. Though it is different content, it doesn't pass the plagiarism, which means that for a normal blogs, it may be okay. But if you're really thinking about some novelty and novelty content, then you need to be careful because it doesn't pass through the plagiarism check. That's one thing which I wanted to mention. And the other one is the security concerns and novelty. This actually ChatGPT is it's a public news that ChatGPT is banned in Samsung because Samsung, one of the employees, there was a leak of trade secret because when they were using ChatGPT in their. I don't use it in my official laptop. I use it in my personal laptop only. So that you need to be careful. So from a patent world, if you really see, you need to do some prior art searches, and you're not supposed to use the regular search engines like Google or Yahoo, or because you will leak the information. Same thing applies to ChatGPT also. So it has security concerns. In fact, as I said, like if you go and ask ChatGPT itself that what are the risks of using ChatGPT, it does say that there are security concerns. So we need to be aware that there are security concerns. It is not it cannot pass plagiarism, and any novel ideas cannot be put in here. I just wanted to cover that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Joyce. Okay, I'll move on to the other one, which is like, as an investor, how I'm using it. Again, I'm using this more from research and starting point, not as I'm going to, blindly believe it from a point of view. Okay, so let us say, for example, this is what I did, and again, by now you know that you'll have to give a lot more context. You are having a conversation with somebody who is not there. So as you can see here, a regular common Indian citizen. I don't have much knowledge about financial products. I want to invest for the next 10 years. I can invest X amount for X amount of years. What are the ways you can do it? And so you can see that it is already saying, because in India, especially, you need a certification to give financial advice. Picasso is here. Picasso, you can put in you can share your website address. If anybody is interested for a personalized financial plan, they can contact him. Good friend of KK, good friend of me. He also took one session on Gravitas Wins. So, he can do that. But you can see here, these are all the different schemes that are available, mutual funds, PPF, and so on and so forth, right? It gives you that. But you can use it a little more. And again, I'm using the same ChatGPT, same conversational window. I'm asking from a 10-year period, which one is better, BSE or Nifty index? And one thing is, I learned about this. I didn't know. I knew fairly not well. So this particular output is a little different. The previous output that it gave me, yeah. So if you see here, the previous output, it did tell me that BSE index is only 30, whereas Nifty is about 50. I knew BSE and Nifty are different, but it didn't strike me at that point in time, or rather, I didn't remember that the number of companies are 30 and 50. Of course, that's why it is called Nifty 50, but it didn't register in me, but it gave me this particular information. And as you can see, it is not the same information it is giving me now. So you can see that it is a different answer every time. Okay, so you can see it is saying Nifty index performs slightly better than BSE Sensex over the past decade, and so on and so forth. And you can go and validate all of these things. And to some extent, it depends on which 10 years you are picking up, and it will always be, there will be a difference, but that's what it is. Okay, so then what I said, if I would have invested 1 rupee every 10 years ago, what would it be worth in Sensex and Nifty? And it gives me in a good form, right? So it'll give you 10-year return and so on and so forth. And it also gives me, how it would have grown. So then what I said, so my sister always asks, okay, you keep on telling me I should invest in something. How do I search for it? So I went and asked, what's the ticker name for Nifty 50? So it gave me this, and this is true. This is right. And then what I said, if I were to give, so let's say, for example, I say, if I would give you every month total reference of this of gold. So this is of gold. Then you can compare with gold and one of the indexes, ETF indexes, and then you can compare what's the difference. Then you can decide. Again, these are all your starting point. You cannot just take this and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to invest in gold, I'm not going to invest in gold, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is very important. Again, this particular result is very different from the one I got here. The previous one gave me a lot of okay. So if you see here, it did give me a lot of ratios. And so the BSE index, it gives me about 17% annualized return of 17%, whereas the gold is 4.5% annualized return of 4.5%. So from this, you can detect that gold gives you CAGR of much less than Nifty, which is how it has to be. Gold is much more a hedge than for investment purposes. But you can understand, it gives you launch pad for you to start. And then I went in and said, okay, can you give me what are all the ETFs that are covering Sensex? And then it gives me, and then I said, what are the load? So so what are all you can see here, give me 10-year, 3-year returns with management fee, exit load, expense ratio, and tracking error. If I were to do this, in Google, I'll have to go to multiple pages. I'll have to enter all the individual ETF name. And even then, I don't think I'll get it in one single page like this. Now it is much easier for me to compare, and then I can pick up and say, okay, you know what, whatever, like I can, because this is the first one I'm picking it up, I can go and research on this UTI Sensex ETF, and then I can compare it. If I am happy with this particular result, I can go and invest in it, right? So this is something that I found. And in fact, I also found for a few other things as well, like say, for example, what is discount DCF, and then how do I calculate DCF, and how do I compare DCF, and all of those kinds of stuff. I mean, what should be the discount rate that I should apply? All of those things you can ask. As I said, it gives you a learning path, which you can go and apply and then go and do it. Again, as I said, think of this as a virtual assistant for you. not as something that you are hiring an expert and then you can kind of delegate all of the work to the expert. So this is not like I'm hiring Picasso to do my personal financial plan. That is not how it is. I can use this as a research. I can use this probably to ask better question to Picasso rather than replacing Picasso with this. That's how this looks like. Hopefully, Picasso, that's a good news for you. Picasso is not here. He has dropped off. Good. Any other questions? We have 3 more minutes. Any questions? Any comments?
Hi, Joseph.
Yeah. Hi, Gaurav.
All right. So I've been listening and I've been using ChatGPT as a virtual assistant to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I use it to structure things. Sometimes, like you were saying, that you have information all over, and you just sometimes need the structure, and then you can work around it.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we are looking at ChatGPT and we're talking AI, what do you think is the future when it comes to other aspects of AI, be it images, be it like just too much information is out there. Just now, everything we touch, everybody's talking about AI. But what is the basic direction that this is going in?
Okay, I am not going to pretend that I know the future, but I'll give you my viewpoints, which I've been thinking through, and I'm going to change this as the more information come in, the more I talk to different people. One, see, ChatGPT is picking data from the open internet. Today, when developers have a question, they go and ask in Stack Overflow. The question is visible to everybody. The answer is visible to everybody. Going forward, if this were to continue, you will ask questions to ChatGPT. Now I'm talking about Stack Overflow. I'm sure this is applicable for marketing. This is applicable for business issues and so on and so forth, all of those kinds of stuff. Today, there are certain forums where you're going and asking question. The question is visible to everybody and the answer is also visible to everybody. When you're asking question in ChatGPT, which is a walled garden, it is not going to be so. Which means the questions and answers are very specifically constrained, limited to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to grow, but it is going to be devoid, or rather sucking the public good. And going forward, that particular benefit is going to be lacking for the common public. So that's one big thing that I'm seeing. Because of that, 2 things that I see. One, ChatGPT results itself will go down because it doesn't have data to train on. 2, there is going to be a lot more paywalled sites that are going to come in, because New York Times is going to see, oh, you know what? When I put my content for free, at least some pieces of the content, ChatGPT is trained on that, and I am not getting any benefit out of it. It doesn't send traffic to me, or it doesn't recommend me. Unlike in Google, at least when you click on it, it will end up in New York Times. So more and more, these content sites are going to limit their content, which means all of the expert contents are going to be behind the wall. It may be a paywall. It might be other walls also, other forms of walls, but they are all going to be walled, which means public is going to be deprived of this particular thing. That's one thing that I see. 2, the arrow of progress is always going forward. So even though people like Elon Musk has been saying we need to pass this research on AI, it is not going to happen. It's going to keep on going. And now that the genie is out of the bottle, there is no going back. It's all going to go forward. That's the second thing that I would say. Now, so hopefully I have answered your question, Gaurav. So those are the ways in which I'm thinking. Like, I mean, it is sucking up the public good, which means the public is going to be deprived of the benefits going forward. It is going to lead to a lot more paywalled or walled gardens. And 3, there is no going back. We are only going forward.
Wonderful. So this is the time to embrace, and like you said, when Google came and that with when a mobile phone came, for that matter, I mean, there are digital natives and youngsters, but I can relate to the time that, hey, we started with pages, and we had to learn a lot of things. And you're just saying, just keep adapting, and things we move on, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining in. I know a couple of minutes we are late, but thank you for joining in. Thank you for sharing your insights. Hopefully this session has been useful to you, and continue to use ChatGPT. We'll continue to discuss this. Thank you very much.